Hello, everyone. I'm back with another video for today. We will be talking about profane idol babbling. We will be in the book of Second Timothy, chapter 2, verses 14 to 26. But the focus verses will be 15 and 16. You can read the other verses in your private time. We're going to begin with 15. It reads, "Be diligent to present yourself approved to God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." I like that. Rightly dividing the word of truth. And you have to get in your word and you have to study. So when you're in church, or you're listening to someone on YouTube, whatever it may be, you need to know the word of God because, as the title says, profane, idle, babbling. And you may not pick it up and realize that they're being profane or they're idle babbling because a lot of people are very charismatic and you will not be able to pick it up. But if you're a study of the word, you'll go back, or sometimes right then and there you'll pick it up. Once again, verse 15, it says, "Be diligent to present yourself approved to God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." I heard this pastor, I believe his name is Tim Ross. He was saying only stripper he know is Jesus, and the crowd was yelling and like this and that. And before he um, stated Jesus was a stripper, he was like, "We don't rain on booty cheeks, and the only stripper I know is Jesus." And he's saying, you know, and then after that, he starts saying, "I got bread in my pocket," and I was like, What foolishness is this?" But the people in the crowd, they was all chanting and screaming, "Yeah, yeah, this and that." And you know at church, people do in church when they get they screaming and stuff when the pastor, when they think the pastor is saying something so profound. And he was also on the Breakfast Club, and Charlemagne asked him about him saying that Jesus was a stripper, and he was like he didn't say that. But if you go back and listen, he actually said that. So he tried to clean it up, and he was like he meant that Jesus stripped himself of his glory, but Jesus didn't strip himself of his glory. If you go to second, I'm sorry, not second, but let's go to Philippians chapter 2. We're gonna look at verse 6 to 8, and it reads, "Who being in the form of God did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant and coming in the likeness of men, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even the death of the cross." So basically, Jesus humbled himself, and there are verses out there that says that he made himself a little lower than the angels. So basically, he just humbled himself. He didn't give up any. He was still fully God, still fully man. So once again, you have to read your word to know what the word is saying. Before I go to verse 15, there's another guy that um I call these guys celebrity pastors or whatever, but Michael Todd. I never really got into him. Heard a lot of his messages, but I didn't agree with a lot of stuff that he says and all the antics he does on stage. I just don't agree with a lot of it, but nevertheless, people are still cheering and screaming and everything. He said, "Only way to defeat sin is to tithe." That's not true. The book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 16, it reads, I say then, walk in the spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So if you have an issue in the fruit of the spirit, of course, it's self control. So if you're applying the word to your life, you'll be able to walk in the spirit. What he said was totally incorrect, but this is what happens when you have a lot of charismatic people and they're in these big churches. And I'm not saying everybody is like this or every celebrity pastor, but most of the celebrity pastors I've seen are the ones that are on big platforms or whatever, or and the ones that go on the Breakfast Club. They're always compromising the word of God. Always. I haven't seen one yet. Maybe one slipped past me, but most of them that go on the Breakfast Club and they compromise uh, the word of God. Let's look at verse 16 in Second Timothy chapter 2, verse 16. It reads, but shun profane and idle babblings, for they will increase to more ungodliness. So they will increase. So when they're up there speaking and they're trying to be relevant, you don't need to talk profane, um, babbling, and just you know meaningless chatter. That's what it is. Profane, not scared or biblical, not respectful. Idle babblings, foolish or meaningless chatter. So profane, idle babbling is just basically non-biblical, foolish chatter. That's what you're getting, foolishness. But if you don't know the word of God, you're not studying, you'll believe what they're saying, and they'll add in new age stuff where they'll try to add in just certain things to make it relevant to you. I believe that we are intelligent enough, and God have given us gifts, talents, and everything. We don't need to use the world's saying and how they talk to make the word of God relevant. Um, So what they do, they appeal to church culture with feel good messages, keeping people in sin, putting a twist on the word, and redirecting it. So a lot of these, like I said once, for a lot of these Christian celebrity pastors, they're basically motivational speakers, and they're mixing the holy and the profane, and they're very charismatic. Now, it's nothing wrong with being charismatic, but you need to know the word of God. I think it's good to be charismatic, but not if you're going to misrepresent the word of God. When Satan was in the garden, and first of all, God told them, "Don't eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, or they will die." Satan told them, "You won't surely die," but they did die. They died spiritually, then they died physically, and that's how we are in church. We're dying spiritually because we're listening to profane, idle babbling because we're not studiers of the Word of God, and we're just letting people get up and stand before us and just say the most crazy things. But this is what's going on. So make sure that you're studying your word and that you know what the word of God is saying. And if you're in a church, whether big or small, and they're misquoting the word of God and they're trying to be relevant and they're being profane, you know, find your church where there's the word of God's actually being taught. I'm gonna read it again, verse 15 and 16. It reads, be diligent to present yourself approved to God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Verse 16, but shun profane and idle babblings, for they will increase to more ungodliness. Have a blessed day, everybody, and have a blessed week. And I'll be back with another message. Once again, like, share, and subscribe.